You ready? Good evening. I would like to call to order the Keizer City Council. It is Monday, October 5th, 2020, and ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councilor Parsons?
Here.
Councilor Smith?
Here.
Councilor Herrera?
Here.
Mayor Clark?
Here.
Council President Freeman?
Here.
Councilor Reed?
Here.
And Councilor Kohler?
Here.
Thank you. Would you all rise if you're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. October already. I say I want to recount on September, but I really don't. All right. That was, September was a rockin' and rollin' month. All right. I don't have the printed agenda. Can I borrow that for a sec? It was Monday in so many ways. All right. I don't have anything under special orders of business tonight. Committee reports. Is there anybody here to report on a city committee? Don't have anybody signed up, so I want to make sure before I go on. Yes, no? Okay. Public testimony. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. Tonight we have one public hearing for El Vaquero Santa Maria Barbecue, liquor license change of ownership. So if you're here for that, stand by. And I have Carol Dorfler here to share with us under public testimony.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor Clark, councilors, staff. I am here this evening to thank you all for the really kind of inspiring and thoughtful work session that you had last week on equality and equity and equality. I would encourage you to, before you begin any long-term programs, to provide a resolution or at least a welcoming to our people, all peoples. You could put it out on the reader board. You could post it by the front door that everybody is welcome in this building. And I think that would go a long way because words really do matter. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, any questions on that?
No. I want to thank you and everybody who participated in that work session. I thought it was a fabulously fruitful and inspiring discussion, conversation. We learned a lot about each other, about what our city department heads and city manager have been working on as well. So it gave some context about who Keizer is. And I think that we got some very good ideas for how we might use our words and our actions going forward to continue the work of including all people in a meaningful way in this community.
Words do matter.
Words and actions matter, absolutely. And I love that we do both, and we're going to keep doing more of it. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mrs. Dorfler, you inspired me. I wrote it down. We welcome every person of every color and every gender, and I think that's just perfect. Thank you.
Definitely want to include that in our list of, in our conversation for the next work session will be on October 26th. So for everybody watching, mark that on your calendar.
The second thing I'd like to mention is that the West Keizer Neighborhood Association is having a candidates forum this coming Thursday, October 8th. It will be live streamed. Seating is going to be limited due to the COVID precautions, but everybody could tune in and watch. All of the candidates will be there except for Kyle Duran. He's going to be out of town this week. So I invite everybody in TV land to watch. I wish we could open it to the community, but we just can't do that this year.
Councilor Herrera?
Carol, how are we going to, is it first come, first serve sort of, whoever gets in there first?
Excuse me.
Is it,
yes,
when we get 7 o'clock?
There's 40 people allowed in the lobby.
Okay.
And we get to that number, and I'm afraid we're going to have to turn people away.
7?
because-
Is it
Pardon?
7? Is it at 7 o'clock?
Yes, it's
Okay.
from 7
I'll
to
be here about 4.
8:30 PM. It's in lieu of our regular general meeting.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys doing that.
Sure.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions for Carol? All right, thank you so much. Looking forward to Thursday evening, and there are several candidate events that people are figuring out how to do these in a COVID world, and we're also benefiting from the fact that we are all becoming Zoomies. So for those of us who have dabbled into, mastered whatever part of that spectrum you're on for Zooming, we always have to remember that there are people who don't have internet, and I'm very thankful for people who are using the low/no tech options as well for communicating. And remembering that accessibility to information has to come in many forms. But I appreciate that. Looking forward to it. All right, anybody else? I don't have anybody else signed up for public testimony, and I would welcome you. I'm gonna pick on somebody. Patty, is Gubser meeting this month?
Yes.
Do you want to come up and announce that real quick so people know when Gubser will be meeting? I feel like teacher going,
I guess I should have. That's what I get for. So Greater Gubser Neighborhood Association is meeting next Thursday, October 15th, and we are also having a candidate forum. And I've heard from all of them via email. Kyle Duran, I had talked to in person, and so I just need to confirm with him. So we're hoping, but I thank Carol for mentioning about the 40 max in the lobby. So we'll have to be watching out for that also, so.
so if people can't make it this Thursday, they can come next Thursday and hear from candidates. I was at the last Gubser Neighbors Association meeting. Thank you for inviting me. I have something else that night, so I won't be there for that particular forum, but I will be at West Keizer this coming Thursday.
And I also think that Keizer Chamber is doing an online event. Is it it's Wednesday, is that the 14th?
Yep.
Yeah, so I believe that is going to be Zoom. So I think that folks can catch that online. So there's lots of opportunities this month to hear from all of the candidates, so.
And several of us are going to be doing the one on Wednesday night, this Wednesday night, the 7th, with the NAACP hosting that as
okay.
well. They're doing 3 different nights of Zoom candidate forums for our area, so I'm really excited to be part of that as well. And I think several of our Keizer candidates were invited and were able to accept. So, good stuff.
And I guess I forgot to mention that ours starts at 7 p.m. And we try to get done by 8 o'clock, but we might, depending on how the candidate forum goes, we might be a little bit later, so.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for letting me pick on you. Councilor Kohler has something.
Oh, for me? Sorry.
While you're still standing, you want to report on a library standard?
You saw my Facebook post. So my son Michael, his Eagle project was a little free library at Keizer Rapids Park, and it experienced vandalism. We fill it up. He made the commitment to the Parks Department that he would be responsible for 2 years, and we're just at 1 year. And so I always have books in my car, and he always has books in his car too. So we just think about, we got to get out there. And we hadn't been because of the fires. I had actually planned on going out there, but then the fires happened. So we don't know exactly when the vandalism happened, but someone punched through the window on the door. So, it's disappointing. We knew that vandalism would happen. It happens. It's unfortunate, but it does. But when you see it, it just kind of, hit us in the gut a little bit. And he was a little bit disappointed. I could kind of tell. He was like, well, I got all the supplies. So, when he did the project, he had enough funds that he got duplicate supplies for the door, because we figured, number one, it would either get graffiti on it or the window would be punched through. And so we haven't had any graffiti on it. But since it's kind of down right now, we're going to do a repaint on it also, just to kind of freshen it up. And the door is almost done. We're just waiting for the paint to dry. So it was unfortunate, but you know, it happens, and it could have been worse. And it's been up for a year. And so that being the first little bit of unfortunate with it, it's gotten a lot of love, and lots of books have gone through there. It's always amazing every time we go to restock it, knowing that we just had put so many books in it, and then go back and it's nearly empty. So, and we notice other people are putting books in it too. So that's good. So we're happy that it's getting so much love. So
Thank you for following up on that.
Yeah.
And a little report. I think that lessons in life that sometimes we have to learn is that things don't always go the way that we hope that they will go.
Right.
And we have to learn how to roll and adapt and still succeed.
Right.
Thank you. Tell him we appreciate him, please.
Yes. Well, thank you.
All right, and thank you so much. All right, anybody else for public testimony? Yes, Bob Bush, come on down.
I can be a committee report if you want.
Yes, absolutely.
Bob Bush with the Keizer Points of Interest Committee, and what brought me up was the little library. We've just updated our Points of Interest brochure. Oops. What we did is we added to the map in the back, I think 12 or 13 free little libraries that are in town that we've been able to find. Only about a third of them are registered or chartered, as the terminology is for them. The rest are on here, but we would encourage anybody who has one, if you don't have it registered, look into registering it, because then you can go to the littlefreelibraries.org website, and they have a map of all of the chartered free little libraries wherever you're at, whether it be here, Salem, New York City, whatever. So, but this is one of the things we just finished last month. I have to stop and think. This is the 1st of October now, but this is one thing we finished at our meeting last month. They will be meeting Thursday.
I was there last meeting?
Yeah, you were here last time, yeah. We're also currently, we just finished up the plans for the history signs for the culture center next door to the school. And so the Museum Heritage Group is working on where to, well, I'm on that board now too, but we're working on where to put them. I couldn't attend the last meeting because I was working. But they're working on determining where to put it. They're looking at a sign to put it on, and then where to put it, whether they put it out front or back on the patio or somewhere in the building. But we'll have a historical marker sign or a sign with historical pictures up there very soon.
You know, that's such a fabulous building. It's over 100 years old, and it was one of those, well, duh, we should have a points of interest sign on it, because it is one of our major points of interest, and I'm glad we're finally circling back to get that done. So thank you for being part of that, and looking forward to that going into place.
And one other little fun thing we're working on is we call it 123.45, but that's not actually correct vernacular for it. The 123rd longitude intersects with the 45th parallel, actually just outside of town. But most of Keizer Station is on the 123rd, and we know that the 45th goes right through town. So we're working at putting some kind of thing together, maybe putting it up at the Little League Park in the parking lot or something, saying, you know, just over there is this thing that only happens one place on the world. And it's right there, where a latitude and a longitude intersect. And so that's one of the other projects we're looking at. along with a bunch of others, but that was the funnest one that I just wanted to bring up.
Counselor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just to clarify, they don't have to register the tiny little libraries with you, right? It's just
No.
the freelittlelibraries.com?
It would be nice if they let us know if they have one, because then we can get it added to the map. But if they want to be on the national organization map, they have to register with them.
Okay, and you get your
There's no
information from the
yeah.
national?
Get them from there or from driving, like Lisa's on that committee too, and she got me 4 addresses. And I had most of the rest just from driving around and
Okay.
seeing them.
All right, thank you.
So if you see any, let me know.
Counselor Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I thought it was kind of cool, the little catch, 1, 2, 3.
Dot,
The
4, 5.
123 and 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was kind of cool. I always also want to welcome our new member into the points of interest, who's sitting right in the front knitting in all the meetings. Lisa Sajeka, she was very good on the first meeting. She did a great job, and welcome to our group.
Yeah, the correct way for those coordinates is 45,
Right.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, 1, 2,
But we
3, 4,
think
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sounds more fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What are the odds?
Very good. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoy reading the agenda for that committee because you see all of the projects that are queuing up. We have a lot of interesting places in this community, and we're going to keep on discovering even more as we dive deeper into the really rich history that we have here from so many cultures and events that have intersected right here, along with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Then let's go to our public hearing this evening. I'd like to open the public hearing for El Vaquero Santa Maria Barbecue Liquor License Change of Ownership. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On September 14th, 2020, I almost said 1920, which of course would be wrong. The city received an application to change the ownership for the liquor license previously held by Red Ginger, located at 4907 River Road North in Keizer. The establishment's new name will be El Vaquero Santa Maria Barbecue. The application is for a limited on-premises liquor license. As required by the Keizer ordinance, a public hearing was scheduled, notice was published, and mailed to all property owners within 200 feet of the establishment. The Keizer Police Department reports a clear background check on the applicant and had no reason to recommend denial for the application. And in addition, the Keizer Community Development Department finds the location of the establishment to be properly zoned and has no additional comment. It is recommended that the public hearing be open to allow testimony from the applicant or other interested individuals, and upon completion, the hearing be closed. It is further recommended the council recommend approval of the application under the guidelines as established by ORS 471.178 and the ordinances of the City of Keizer, and then that will be forwarded to the Oregon Liquor Control Commission for their dispensation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the staff report?
I have a quick comment.
Okay, Councilor Herrera?
Does anybody know what El Vaquero means?
Cowboy.
Very good. Cowboy. Did you look it up?
No,
No.
I actually know a little bit of Spanish, believe it or not.
Vaca is cow.
No, vaquero, well, vaca is
Vaca
cow.
is cow.
Cowboy, vaquero.
I don't have anybody signed up for public testimony. Is there anybody who'd like to speak to this issue? All right, seeing none, any final questions before I close the public hearing? Public hearing is closed. Council President Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Keizer City Council recommend approval of the application for El Vaquero Santa Maria Barbecue under the guidelines established by ORS 471.178 and the ordinances of the City of Keizer, and further this recommendation to the Oregon Liquor Control Commission for final approval.
El Secondo.
It has been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council recommend approval of the application for El Vaquero Santa Maria Barbecue under the guidelines as established by ORS 471.178 and the ordinances of the City of Keizer, and forward this recommendation to the Oregon Liquor Control Commission for final approval. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. That is the only public hearing we have on the agenda for this evening. That takes us to administrative action. Item 8A, which is an ordinance creating a planning commission, providing for its composition and organization, providing its powers and duties, repeal of ordinances 83-006, 2013-674, and 2017-783. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris, Madam Mayor and Council. This matter came to my office because I'm not sure Shane brought it up or how it came up, but was the question of whether the Planning Commission is actually required to meet each month. Because occasionally they do take a month off if there's something that's not scheduled. And I double checked the ordinance. It turns out the ordinance said you have to meet every month. There wasn't an exception for it. And you know, I don't like to have things not match up with reality, so rather than forcing the Planning Commission to meet every month, even if they don't have anything to talk about, I thought we probably ought to revise that. It'd been amended 2 or 3 times, so our general rule is when an ordinance has been amended 2-3 times, when we come back, we don't make another amendment. We just consolidate all the others and repeal that ordinance to come up with a new one. And I spoke to Councilor Smith about a question on this, and I misspoke, Councilor Smith. I noted after our phone call, the requirements, and that's in the first page under 1B about occupation, et cetera. They are the same as the states. At one time, several years ago, our requirements were more stringent than the state, and then I'd forgotten that got amended quite a few years back, so it makes it, so it is exactly as the state's requirements are, and we're not changing that at all. The duties section matches up with the state, and there was a minor change in that. Before I forget, I just noted before the meeting there is a typo on page 1 of the ordinance under line 22. It talks about no more than 2 voting members shall be engaged principally in the buying. It says they. So Council President Freeman can make that correction on line 22. The they on that line should be the. The only other comment I had is, and I didn't note this in the staff report, is on the second page under D. I clarified what was standard practice, that there is a two-term limit, 3-year terms, 2 terms are the limits. But if someone's appointed for an unexpired term, that appointment doesn't count, obviously, for the calculation of the term limits. So if you had somebody appointed for the last 2 years of a term, they could still serve 2 full terms after that. I wanted to clarify that, so I added that. And that's about the extent of it, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions for Mr. Johnson? All right, thank you very much. Council President Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Keizer City Council adopt an ordinance 2020 creating a planning commission, providing for its composition and organization, providing its powers and duties, repeal of ordinance 83-006, 2013-674, and 2017-783, with the correction of line 22 from they to the.
I'll second that with the correction.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt a bill for an ordinance 2020 creating a planning commission, providing for its composition and organization, providing its powers and duties, repeal of ordinances 83-006, 2013-674, and 2017-783, with a correction on line 22 from they to the. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. That is all we have tonight on administrative action. Council President Freeman, the consent calendar.
Sure. We have 5 items on the consent calendar. Items 9A is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into contract for Manzanita Street storm drain repair with Michaels Corporation. 9B is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into contract for Louderback Street storm drain repair with Michaels Corporation. Item 9C is a resolution authorizing the finance director to enter into purchase agreement for Albert Monitoring Services with Center for Internet Security, Inc., also known as CIS, or for CIS. Resolution 9D is authorizing the finance director to enter into Enzoic proposal for Enzoic for Active Directory software services. And 9E is approval of the September 21st, 2020 City Council regular session minutes.
Thank you very much. Are there any polls? Seeing none, Council President Freeman.
I move that the Keizer City Council accept the consent calendar items 9A through E.
Second that?
The consent calendar has been moved and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. That takes us then to council liaison reports. Councilor Kohler, can I start with you tonight?
Yes, ma'am, you certainly may. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have noted that there have been several weeks now, several meetings that you actually started on the other end, and I'm sure that it was not done on purpose, so.
Actually, it was because there was different people sitting on this side, so I got to pick on different people to go first. But I'm now back to you.
But I'm ready, thank you. On 9/22nd, I attended ribbon cutting for the On Point Community Credit Union, brand new in Keizer, and they have 36 branches in Oregon and Washington. They've been in business, they tell me, since 1934. And Michael Savory is the manager, with Kara Brahman as the assistant manager, so we welcome them to Keizer. 9/25 was on the LOC call. There was a number of things that we talked about. The mayor of Phoenix was on that call, and that was a very sobering report that he gave. I can't imagine the hardships of those people. One of the things that they said on that was stay positive and test negative, which I thought was kind of an interesting thing. So I did write that down. We had the council work session a week ago today, and thank you for doing that. And again, I wrote down what Mrs. Dorfler said, you know, we welcome every person of every color and every gender, and I thought that was, you know, that says what we need to say if we're going to say something. And on the 1st, I assisted Jerry Walker and Baron Robinson of Kicking Cancer to honor the cancer survivors at the volcano game. It was very rewarding to see so many people that had survived cancer and the positive attitude that they exuded. It was just really, really neat to see. And great organization, the Volcanoes and Kicking Cancer. It was neat to see them work together and do some neat things. And again, attend to the LOC call. The faster COVID tests are now available, they said. They talked quite a bit about new OSHA rules coming out so that there could be some additional ways to enforce people wearing masks in businesses and things. So that'll be interesting to see how all that comes out. I was fortunate enough to spend some time with several businesses in Keizer those last couple of weeks talking about COVID grants, and it's very rewarding to see the smile on their face when I say, no, this is serious, and they go, no way. And then as I check back with them to make sure they got all the paperwork in and how things were going, to see their smile on their face and the gratitude that they have in being able to make that all work. So that's been a lot of fun. The Claggett Creek Watershed Council had a project at Wallace House this Saturday, and I know you were there.
Yes.
And as were a lot of people from the West Keizer Neighborhood Association, thank you. The report I got back was that they got a lot done, and it was really a neat project.
And the Order of the Arrow, let's please, would you mention those wonderful young men that came from, they're not from Keizer, but they came there and they worked their tails off.
Yeah, there was one of the young men that were from Keizer, There were 14 altogether. And Mr. Lawyer called me and said, hey, I need some help. What can I do? And I said, let me make some phone calls. And the local chapter of the Order of the Arrow from the Boy Scouts of America said, yeah, we're looking for a project. And so I got them all together, and there were 14 of them there. And after most everybody left, then they held their chapter meeting and had pizza, and they had a good time. One of the things that they mentioned was the feeling they got from the community and the people that were there, the reception that they received. They had a very positive experience, and we're thrilled to be able to help. So looking forward to Chamber Candidate Forum, I've been asked to help a little bit with that, and I think I've already done that for the most part. But October 14th at 6:30 will be a Zoom meeting. Tomorrow we had the Stormwater Advisory Committee, but I think that was canceled. And Thursday, the 8th, do we actually have a confirmation that the LBA is going to meet?
The only confirmation I have right now, if they do meet, it will be virtually.
Okay, if you
I
find
will
out
work
any more,
on-
I'd appreciate some information on that. And then Thursday, the 8th, have the Traffic Safety Bike Ped Committee meeting. And then we have coming up October 14th and 15th, the LOC conference.
All right, thank you so much. Councilor Reed, how are you doing?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Hanging in there. It's a wild ride. It's actually been fairly quiet in terms of my city responsibilities lately. We do have the League of Oregon Cities Conference coming up. I'm looking to that, forward to that, and also the candidate forums that have all already been mentioned. We are having parent-teacher conferences starting next Monday and the following Monday. So instead of the usual format for parent-teacher conferences, they're on Mondays, which are non-contact days anyway for students. So parents, anybody who is involved with the school district from K through 12, you might want to tune in there to make an appointment with the teachers. These are all virtual, but we really want to hear from as many people as possible. So that is coming up as well. So again, just hang in there. We're still, in terms of school, we're still working out a lot of technical difficulties, but we're getting there. And for the most part, I'm really impressed with how students and parents are stepping up to the challenge. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, we all want to support you and all of the teachers and staff and the families that are working hard to make education a priority in their lives and make it happen. So if there's things that we can do as a community to be supportive, please let us know and put it out there in social media where we can help.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Council President Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Pretty quiet, other than I did attend the council work session and appreciate everyone that attended as well. Upcoming, we've heard a lot about the West Keizer Neighborhood Association meeting on Thursday the 8th at 7 p.m. Again, a candidate forum. The first 40 people will be allowed in, and the rest will be able to watch via Zoom or live streaming. Also on the 8th at 7:30 is the Marion County Commissioners Breakfast at Sherry's. And on deck to attend is myself, Mayor Clark, and Councilor Herrera. Then on the 14th, we do have the Planning Commission. One thing I too would like to thank Chris for sending out the continuous information about disaster recovery. And I just want to give a shout out to Marion County for their brochure and information that they put together both in English and in Spanish. It is a lot of information for anyone who is trying to work through all of the information that's required through FEMA and your homeowner's insurance, and if you're uninsured. And it was a very valuable tool that I shared internally with our staff as well. So I just shout out to them. I think it was great. And hopefully other counties can take that information and replicate it as well. So, and the other thing that I want to mention this is something within the division I work at Oregon Housing, and the website is OregonHomeownerHelp.org. But there is hardest hit funds left through our agency to help homeowners who have suffered a financial loss due to COVID-19. You can go directly to the website to apply for assistance. There is all the information that's listed there. We currently have $20 million to get out the door, but once it's gone because we're not expecting any more federal funds from this. But these are hardest hit treasury funds that Oregon received in 2010, and again, additional resources that we received in 2016. And Oregon was a leader in this particular program. So these are all recycled funds. So these are monies we put out the door and have been paid back by homeowners because they have been able to retain their homes and then sell them and return money back to us. So this is just one way that we could get these funds back out into our community. So it is a statewide program and not returned to the federal government. So if you know someone that needs help, direct them to the website. And if they're having trouble, I'm happy to help them as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And the more we can share these really, really good resources that are available to members of our community, the faster we're going to be able to help all of our neighbors stand up and move forward again. Thank you so much. Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let's see, a lot of stuff, but I had a bunch of Zooms. One with the one, probably my favorite was the Kennedy Elementary kids. Some of the kids I mentored, I got to see them online, and I got to see how tall they got. I had one with LULAC subcommittee, and also with online training for the Salem Keizer School District. Also, I have got contact by the Willamette Valley Hospice. The executive director, her name is Nishiruma. I think I'm saying it right. Anyway, she invited me to, they're having a conversation on equity and diversity, and they wanted to invite folks on that subject to see how they can be helpful and more, open up to what's going on these days. So I agreed to help. Also, I will be joining that NAACP candidates forum. I also had the pleasure and the honor to participate, actually do the opening for the first ever all McNary High School in Spanish YouTube welcoming to the parents. And it was awesome. It was like, was it last Thursday? Do you remember?
I think so.
Anyway, so it was the first time ever. I want to thank Mr. Camarena. I mean, he's been there 20 years, and I don't know how he's never won any award for that, but he's amazing. And all that staff, and I was mentioning that when I first started volunteering at McNary, and we know this because of stats, the population of the students was 5% Latino. Well, it's 40% now. So there's a lot more online communication with the Spanish-speaking community, and it's going really well, I think, in terms of faculty responding to the needs, and it's been a great partnership with us. And I was honored to be to do the welcoming and introduction. And I told Miguel and the principal there, Jesperson, what do you want me to do? He goes, say something inspiring. I go, like what? But anyway, just basically a welcoming and talking about how we can communicate and help. And I also invited him to come to our council meetings and get in touch with our leadership here. Also, I was, let's see where, Oregon Latinx Leadership Network was awarded, which I'm part of, was awarded a nice, we applied for a grant, and we got a nice grant from that. I'll mispronounce the place, but it's going to help us to better communicate and network throughout the whole state. And the folks, leadership, Latinx, just so you know, it's pronounced as OLLN, O-L-L-N, Oregon Leadership. And it's held by Mr. Velis, who is the former state director of the education, state education, Oregon Education Association. And he's brilliant. That guy is amazing. And he, with his leadership, we've connected, and we are working on helping right now with the COVID, and we've done already several projects. I won't even talk about them, but we all communicated and volunteered to help on those, the one in Roseburg, the one in Phoenix, and several. But it's really great, and I just felt very honored to be part of that group. By the way, they did feature, different person throughout the state, and I was featured like 2-3 weeks ago. And it was kind of cool because you get to interact with other folks in other areas, and then we kind of compare what's going on with their council or area. And so I really feel fortunate to be part of that. And I also want to mention that thank everybody that showed up for our work session. And I, I really appreciate the Carols of the world that always show up and chime in and care. They show up, Lisa, all these people, they're always here, all the folks here. And I really think that it's important to have participation, and I would like to see that grow and expand. And I would reiterate what Councilor Kohler said about all, it doesn't matter where you're from, Middle Eastern, Mexico, whatever, we're welcome here. So thank you very much. That's all I got.
Thank you. And I would also point out, there's a lot of people who don't feel comfortable going out, and because of our broadcasts and the expansion that we've had in media, we've been able to be much more accessible to people across our community. And I'm very thankful that we have the technology where people can stay where they feel safe, or if they've got their kids home, since they can't take them to sports practice, they can still participate in our civic life. And I'm very thankful that we have that as well. So thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Welcome.
All right, Councilor Smith, how are you doing?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm still standing. So a couple things on updates. We have the Facebook page up and running for the yes for the city charter vote. I've seen it shared many times from all sorts of different walks of life, and that just makes me happy because it is one thing that we can all agree on. This is a good thing. We've seen a lot of people say, you know what, they put a lot of work and effort into this, and this is a no-brainer. This is a yes vote. So I'm very excited about that because once we get that taken care of, then we can move on to getting some other additional things like the welcoming statement dialed in. I love that idea. I've been Googling it, and I found some really neat ones online, and I thought this is an easy one. This is great. So thanks again for bringing that. I'd never seen one. So thank you, Carol, for bringing that up to us. As a secondary job, I think is now what it is, I've been assisting, helping Mayor Jim Trett with getting information out to the Detroit and Canyon communities, and that has taken on a life of its own. And I would definitely just want to pause for a second and say thank you so much to all the staff with the City of Keizer, because it is very evident when you are dealing with something like this in small communities that don't have a city manager, that don't have a city attorney, that don't have a chief of police, that don't have planners. It is hard to decipher the information and get it out to the people who need to hear it. Right now we're dealing with these right of entry forms. When FEMA comes in, can they come in? Can they take this? Can they take that? Well, what do you mean? Are they gonna, charge my insurance for all of this? And trying to get that from county level and, a small city that the majority of their council is currently displaced. The city hasn't been open in 3 weeks. It is tricky. And, I just thank you so much for all the work you guys do on a day-to-day basis and your access, just from Tim to everybody. It's very obvious in the last few weeks how incredibly lucky we are as a city of Keizer to have the staff that we do. So I just wanted to tell you thank you so much for that. And I also thank you for allowing me to pick your brain when everybody kind of gets to a standstill and doesn't know where to go or what to do. It's just very different. And the information is staggered and it's coming from different sources. And boy, when you have those reports that you get on, before the meetings and it's all just nicely buttoned up, let me tell you, that is a beautiful thing. So I've been putting a little effort and energy into that, to say the least. And just a couple things that, I would say that the people in the canyon are really strong and they're very resilient. And what we're seeing as far as future planning to make sure that we have activities and we maintain the relationships and the camaraderie is going to be incredibly critical. And I was able to post a thing from FEMA online that talks about reactions after a natural disaster. And it's very interesting because there is an emotional roller coaster, literally, that you go through these stages. And once I posted it in the neighborhood or a group, I think a lot of people understood suddenly it's okay that you have this emotional reaction, that it's okay that you're mad right now, and that it's okay that this person is sad right now, and we just kind of have to allow for that in anything. And I look back at it and I thought, boy, this really would have been kind of convenient during COVID, to be completely honest, to know that these things are normal and that we just have to continue to work forward and celebrate the small wins so that we don't lose track in the overall disaster per se. So if you have a chance to Google that and pull up the FEMA website and look at I just typed in emotional roller coaster and sure enough it popped up. So I would recommend taking a few minutes and reviewing that. But and it looks like I'm with you for the Latino Business Alliance, if that is held this week. And I think we have some classes next week as well for the, is that next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, League of Oregon Cities classes. So that looks like it's another couple days of information. But boy, I have a completely different perspective this year than I did last year for the first year going. So I'm excited to see what I can learn, see how I can help. So that's all I got. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And I'm so thankful that we as a community are continuing to embrace all of our neighbors in the canyon and keep letting us know how we can be the most helpful in a very practical way, because that's how Keizer rolls. So, but we want to be respectful of the needs of the people there and not guess, but actually do something that counts. All right. Councilor Parsons, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Last week we had the work session, and I also want to thank everyone for coming because I think it's been a long time coming. It just, the city works slow. I wish we would have done this years ago. But we talk about people being in the audience, and when I was first on city council 8 years ago, we were lucky to have one person out there. Sometimes it would be just Carol. Sometimes Carol and one other person. But I appreciate now, Carol has always been with us, and she always brings some great information for us to think about and, work on, and I appreciate that a lot from her. I'm going to miss that. And I appreciate now that we have other people in the audience, and we have different people every week, not just the same people. And I think that's wonderful. I think that speaks volumes to how we're getting the communication out to people, whether it's via Facebook, the Facebook stream, or whatever it is. So thanks again. And thank you, Carol, for your diligence of being honest all the time. I appreciate that. I will be starting a virtual mentoring with McNary students. Just because there isn't any physical school doesn't mean there's not a need to help them for scholarships and getting into colleges. So I have my first Zoom meeting tomorrow night where we're going to learn how we're going to do this virtual world, and we're going to start getting kids signed up. And so I'll be doing a lot of virtual mentoring. So that is still going to happen, and we could use more people if anybody has any more spare time. Coming up, we have the Volunteer Coordinating Committee next week. I will be out of town, so Council President Freeman has said that she will attend that for me. We have a chamber meeting, and Councilor Kohler will attend that for me. And then I want to thank Elizabeth for her tireless effort with the Canyon and with Detroit. She has a full-time job, then she has this job, and now she's doing that job. She runs 7 Facebook pages, and she gets it done. And you know what? They wouldn't be where they are right now without you. So kudos to you for doing what you've done and for bringing our staff in to help and get those questions answered. Because I know Jim is so appreciative of you. He just needs to let go a little bit. But other than that, he's so appreciative. I hope you heard me, Jim. Anyway, and so then that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Just a couple of things to add. On the 22nd, I had a meeting with SCATS, which is the Salem-Keizer Area Transportation Study. One of the things we are discussing is how to urge the Oregon Transportation Commission to bring the MPOs and the area commissions on transportation into the conversation about projects if we are able to get the level of funding from the federal gas tax like we anticipate. They estimate low, on revenue and estimate high on costs, which is what we do here. But what they do is if they get more revenue come in, they've got a list of projects that they want to do rather than come back to the local jurisdictions going, okay, so you've got some projects on your list, and we're going, hey, talk to us, because we know how the systems all fit together. So we're trying to encourage that. On the 23rd, I was at the meeting for the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. Again, a huge shout out to Renata Wakely and the finance staff on getting the Small Business Administration loans and grants out the door. They've been absolutely critical during all of COVID and now with the wildflowers on top of it to get funds out to businesses and individuals throughout our entire region. The COG serves Marion, Polk, and Yamhill counties. So they have really stepped up in a big way to help out businesses. On the evening of the 23rd, I had a chance to do my municipal judge evaluation, sat in the back and observed His Honor Judge Myers, and also met our Judge Pro Tem. There he is, Patrick Mercurio, who was, when he introduced himself to me, he said where he was from, and it was quite clear from his accent that he's from the Bronx. So it was absolutely delightful to meet him and to learn about his background. I'm also very pleased that he is very faithful to be here and learn from our judge. So when he subs in for Judge Myers, we have a continuity of how we, as a city, put justice and equity into our system as much as possible, something that Judge Mercurio also values very highly. On the 29th, I participated in our Zoom OMPOC meeting, which is the Oregon Municipal Planning Organizations Consortium. This is the 8 MPOs in the state. We have gathered as a group since 2006, I believe, when we started communicating with one another from the small MPOs to Portland Metro, which is the largest. Again, working on what is going to be going forward in the legislative session in terms of transportation planning and dollars, how they can be best invested across the state. Also that day, I had a meeting of the Executive Committee for the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance, and that board meeting, the whole board meeting, will be this Thursday, the 8th, at 3 o'clock. It's a meeting of both the Homeless Alliance and the ORS 190 board, which is a subset of the Alliance. We're looking at, we haven't gotten the notice of financial availability, the NOFA yet hasn't dropped from the federal government. We've all been a little busy with the, few disasters and things like that and getting stuff delivered, but we're hoping that that will drop soon so we can get our applications in. But that doesn't stop the work of the Alliance, because that's only one very small part of the funding and the projects moving forward in helping to practically and effectively serve people in our community who are homeless. One of the things that will be renewed is we are continuing as part of a program called Built for Zero, where we are one of, at that time when we were joined into that, it was like 90 municipalities across the nation that are part of this program to help us in targeting programs and facility development for two of our most vulnerable and high needs populations, and that's our chronically homeless and veterans. And we are continuing to move forward with planning for projects and starting to deliver on those projects that are really helping people have a space, have the services to change lives. I've been participating in the Regional Solutions Economic Recovery Team meetings. That's been about every 2 weeks now with Jody Christensen, who is our Regional Solutions Coordinator for our Mid-Willamette Valley area, Marion, Polk, Yamhill. I think she also has Lincoln County. So moving forward on that, especially with the shared prosperity focus of making sure that the programs have an equity foundation as well, making sure whatever is put in place in terms of economic recovery is taking in the perspective and the experience of all the business types, and looking at if there are systemic barriers to either by race or gender, age, veteran status, and so forth, for people to get the funding that they need to be able to move forward. I think one of the biggest barriers, though, is pretty much neutral, and that is the inability to finish getting the PUA funds. I don't remember what the acronym stands for, so assuming. But it's for the business owners who need the unemployment. And the last report I had is that they had barely even reached 50% of getting those out the door. How many businesses do you know can go without any income for more than 6 months? I don't know too many. So they have hired over 1,000 people at employment. They've gotten them trained up as fast as they can, but they've had to do it by, bearskins and stone knives because they didn't have the technology. But they are working very hard. The people who are on the front lines of that have been working very hard to get the money to the business owners because they recognize this is a lifeline. So we'll keep pounding that drum until we get to 100%. The regular unemployment, they are pretty much there. They've been able to get them processed, and they're in pretty good shape with the ongoing needs for unemployment for people in that situation. The other good news for us, though, is our unemployment numbers continue to drop significantly. And in August, statewide, we were at 7.7%. I haven't seen the September numbers, but I expect those are going to drop again as well. People are back to work, and that's a good thing. The executive committee search for the COG, that work is continuing. We had a Zoom meeting on Friday. We're having another one this Friday to narrow down the search. We have 9 candidates that have been winnowed down from over 30 applicants from across the nation. We have a really good range from local to out of state, experienced, moving up, really interesting group of candidates, any of whom could do a really good job for us. So we're gonna have a really tough choice, and that's good too. One other thing is the Cultural Center. The Heritage Board received word that the Heritage Center did receive a Cultural Trust grant of a little over $20,000, which is very good news for the Keizer Cultural Center and the Heritage Foundation. So thank you to Kelly Walther, who helped navigate getting that grant written, and they got those funds coming in. Again, the Art Museum and the theater, both of which have they pay rent through income streams. They've had to be closed. This is going to help keep the Cultural Center going, and they've gone virtual as much as possible. And I'll finish with this. On Saturday, we had a book sale here because they had over 8,000 books they needed to sell for the Keizer Community Library. It was a huge success once again. Thank you to city staff for making that possible. Thank you to community for coming and getting books and for loving to be able to read. And you're gonna need some good books for these cold winter nights coming up, and you came through once again. While I was here, and this was after cleaning up over at Wallace House Park, I heard a lot of noise and banging and grinding happening over at the gazebo. There's the Eagle Scout project that got delayed because of the fires, but it is underway. If you go by our wonderful gazebo out here in Chalmers Jones Park, you're gonna see it's getting a major facelift, and it is beautiful. So very proud of the young Eagle Scout. Do you have his name? Pardon?
We're working on it again tonight.
They are working on there tonight as well. So they want to get this done before the weather turns, and they can't do the painting that they need to do, but it's a gorgeous project, and I'm really proud to have the young men out there working hard to make the gazebo ready to be well preserved and well used over for the next umpteen years when they're done. And that is all I have. With that, let's go to other business. This time is provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new or old matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. City manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tracy.
I have nothing, thank you.
Chief Teague.
We just offered jobs to 2 police officers. Tim Hine, he works for Silverton PD, he's coming our way. And Cody Stoopfell, he's from a local farming family, just separated from the National Guard. He's a helicopter pilot. They should both start not before after our next meeting, towards the end of October. They're a good catch for us.
I will mention that I was talked to by another member of the Silverton Police Department last evening, and he was very upset. So good job.
Yeah, Tim just got promoted to sergeant and still wanted to come our way, so.
Wow.
I know, it's excellent. Shane?
Just The only things, we have planning commission coming up next week. We're going to hear from our consultant on the cost of growth, impacts on the transportation system project. So I think good information. We'll also be coming to council with that information. And then the other thing is, and I think in the update last week, we still have some money left for small businesses in Keizer that have COVID affected. We want to get that money out. So go to our website, call me, and we want to help as many folks as we can. So thank you to all of you who are putting out information and using contacts. We're continuing to use the city's social media, and the chamber's been a good partner. We've also had local people in the community that have been great partners working with us. RJ and Pedro they've been awesome. Councilor Kohler, thank you for going and talking to folks. That's just kind of throwing it out there. We put kind of a hard cap deadline on it. We were able to get an extension from Business Oregon, which was great. But we do need to get applications in by like October 16th in order for us to get funds out the door. So that's all.
Great.
Tim.
Madam Mayor, City Council, I just wanted to let you know that next week our water department will be starting the normal shut-off process. We're doing this on purpose, not to be punitive, but just to start the gears rolling again as far as regular city processes. We do have a lot of money that we're putting out from the coronavirus relief funds that we're giving out to local agencies. The challenge with that money is it has to be used by December 30th. So the reason we're starting the shutoffs at this point is so that people can go and take advantage of those funds that are sitting out there. If we didn't start this process until January, the city would have a big pile of money sitting here that could have gone out to the community that will go unused. So if people are experiencing any kind of need financial assistance, whether it's to pay your rent, your gas, your electricity, garbage, any of those type of utilities or mortgage, please reach out to us. We just want to start the conversation. We're not intending to collect any late fees. We just want to start the conversation with folks to help them get the resources that are out there. So that'll start next week. Thank you.
Councilor.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Anyone have any questions that they did not get to ask? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chris. So Tim, on the resources that are available, are those are open to anyone residing in Keizer, not just someone who may have their water shut off?
That is correct. Anyone
Okay.
in Keizer. We're working with St. Vincent de Paul. We have an agreement that we've entered into with them to start providing some of the support. We're also going to be reaching out to Arches and Salvation Army and those type of folks. So.
Okay, and so how are we, and then are they responsible to do outreach to our communities and people whom English is not their first language? I mean, how are we making sure that our resources are getting to all community members? And I know that that's a tough question, but I'm just hoping that in whatever agreements that we're working on, that is part of our, requirement, or we will be looking that right in the future on making sure that we're reaching all parts of our community for resources.
Sure, that's a good question. The city we're going to be doing the majority of the outreach. So we've already started the process of talking with our customers here for water type of utilities. The PGEs, Northwest Natural, those folks are doing the same thing, diverting people to where the resources are available.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor.
Councilor.
Mr. Johnson?
To follow up on that, and help me here, Tim, if I got this wrong. It's also for, as Tim mentioned, water and other utilities, but it's also for mortgage and rent. Do we keep those?
That is correct.
So mortgage and rent, the applicant has to show a connection that they lost their income due to some COVID issues, I recall.
Correct.
So it's not like open-ended, but
Right.
that's the general gist of it.
Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So then, Councilor, if somebody had received one of our grants, but still, that's their business grant, but if they
This is
didn't
for
have
individuals.
an income because of their loss of income, couldn't make their mortgage payments, then they would also be available for that?
That is correct, yes.
I think that would be correct, right?
Marlene?
Yeah. So Tim, too, what about if they didn't work for a couple months, right? And then now they've gone back to work, but during that couple months, they couldn't pay their utilities and they're playing catch up. Can they still?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Excellent. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Written communications, I've got a couple of things and a shout out. I'm going to start out with a shout out, and that is to Debbie Lockhart and Dan Cullingham. So a few weeks ago, I mentioned, because before that, I had noticed that Thomas Dove Keizer was needing a little sprucing up. And I happened to mention it when I saw the agenda for Keizer Points of Interest. I got an email back and said, well, Debbie said she made a phone call to Gareth, who is the sculptor of Thomas Dove Keizer, found out how to clean him up and spruce him up and put a coating on him and so forth. And she and Dan went out on their own time and did that. That is awesome. So just a huge thank you to Debbie and to Dan for giving your time and being so proud of the community that you work for and in, and doing that and making sure Thomas Dove Keizer looks as well taken care of. Thank you so much. I also want to share an email I got that this was from Beverly Burr, Keizer Police, and said, Mr. Cliff Smith stopped by Police Department this morning just to let us know that the Keizer Police are, quote, doing a good job. He said he really appreciates us and is a big supporter of the Keizer Police Department. And he said, keep up the good work. You know, when people take time out of their day to come down and say thank you, I mean, it's one thing when people come down and they're mad about something because they want something. But when they just come down here to say thank you, that means a lot. So thank you so much for taking the time to do that. So I wanted to share that. That's all I have for written communication. Oh, I do want to put out also one big attaboy and good job to us. Months and months ago, back in the before days, we were talking about this thing called the census. Anybody remember that? Well, good job. The reason we don't have to think about it a whole lot now, because Oregon is at 99.6% of households have been enumerated. Way to go. And that's up from the 99.3 that I saw last week. So they're working really hard to tie up those loose ends. Keizer did a great job with self-reporting. We were above 75% that people went online and just took care of it. And that was way above the state average. So way to go to make life easier for everybody to get online and make this online census work. It was the first time in history we've ever done it, and it's working. So fabulous. So big shout out on that. Agenda input, work session next Monday. We don't have a topic, but we have 3 of us that need to reschedule a meeting because of the work session we're having at the end of the month. So with the permission of council, like to not have the work session next Monday night. So Council President Freeman, Council Reed, and I can have a personnel policy meeting that needed to be rescheduled. Any objection to that? Okay. Then we will meet in regular session on the 19th at 7 p.m. And then we will have our second City Council goal, community demographics, equity and diversity work session at 6 p.m. on October 26th. That is all I have for agenda input. Is there anything else for the good of the order? All right, the time is 8:10 and we are adjourned.